Good evening. Welcome to Straight Talk. Our guest this evening is Mr. Stephen Wong Kai-yi. Mr. Wong is a barrister by profession and has had extensive experience in the field of data protection and privacy. He is the former co-chair of the Ethics and Data Protection in the AI Working Group for the Global Privacy Assembly, where he played a pivotal role in shaping the international discourse on data ethics and governance. He was our Privacy Commissioner for Personal Data and held various posts in the Department of Justice, including Senior Crown Counsel and Deputy Solicitor General. This evening, we will be discussing the very hot topic of AI and ChatGPT. Welcome, Stephen.
Good evening, Eugene.
Right, Stephen, thank you for coming. And before we dive into this very hot topic that I just mentioned, maybe you can share with the viewers your background in AI and all the background that you had that makes you as a specialist in this area.
Oh, okay. So when I was the Privacy Commissioner of Hong Kong, I had the privilege of working with a collection of data privacy commissioners around the world. In those days, that was about 6 years ago, we put our heads together and tried to work out certain ethical standards for artificial intelligence and the use of AI in especially data protection. And at that time, and we didn't have much law about data protection in the field of AI.
Right. Stephen, you are a co-chair of the Global Privacy Assembly. I mean, we are not very familiar with this organization. Maybe you can share with the viewers what significance does this assembly actually does?
Global Privacy Assembly, otherwise known as GPA, is a collection of international privacy commissioners, formerly known as International Conference of Privacy Commissioners around the world. About 120 members, in other words, regions and jurisdictions, joined this assembly. The purpose of this assembly is to, amongst other things, to discuss various issues around the world, and also to work on certain topics. This one, ethics in AI, it was one of the topics that we were working on in those days.
I see. We often hear of the word AI, artificial intelligence. Maybe you can tell us briefly what exactly is artificial intelligence? And I'm sure many people have been reading on newspapers about this ChatGPT as well. I mean, what are their relationships?
Yeah, I think we must have heard of AI, artificial intelligence. You may think that it is a brain, but not the real one. It's an artificial one, a good one, and a powerful one. And in technical terms, it is a computerized ability. You may call it digital mind, a digital mind.
Right.
And this mind, digital mind, can perform tasks associated with human intelligence, and that's why it's known as artificial intelligence. So that depends on a data set, including human data, including personal data of human beings. And what is most important of all is that it is associated with learning from experience. It is a matter of machine learning and also algorithms.
Right. So how long have we had this technology?
I would say in the region of 40 years.
Wow.
We have had this application or technology. But of course, recently, people start talking about the ChatGPT, and that makes the entire idea of AI and ChatGPT a topical issue.
Right. So what is ChatGPT?
A ChatGPT is an application driven by AI, artificial intelligence. Of course, when you have the technology of AI, you have the use of it. And this is a new use powered by AI. And the purpose is to allow human-like conversations with chatbot, so another form of robot, allowing conversations, a dialogue between you and the chatbot. And this ChatGPT is known as generative pre-trained transformer. That's why it's GPT.
Right, so generative pre-trained and transformer. Right,
yeah.
I see.
Allowing human-like conversations, as I said, but it runs on a large language model. okay, which is an architecture that could help you answer questions, assist in writing essays, composing songs, creating websites, is amazing. People will simply say it's immeasurably good.
Right. Someone said it actually potentially revolutionized the way we live and work. So what are some of the benefits from your angle that if we use a ChatGPT or this type of specialized AI systems, what can we use it for then help our life and work better?
Yeah. Generally, it helps automation, it enhances productivity, it increases efficiency, decision-making will be made easier, solving complex problems, it helps economic development. Of course, at the end of the day, you will feel that you have a smarter, a happier, a healthier, a trendier, or a more dynamic lifestyle.
Right. I've also read, I've been reading the news, they say this ChatGPT actually can pass medical exams,
yes.
licensing exam in the US, and actually you can talk to this Dr. ChatGPT as your doctor. How accurate will that surface from your point of view?
Yeah. For one thing that I'm sure, AI is increasingly employed in the field of medicine. But another example in the United States shows that if you ask the ChatGPT to answer a model examination, it scores only 42%. It fails the exams. Another example shows that it provides plausible sounding but incorrect or sometimes nonsensical answers, but with an authoritative tone.
I see.
That is what is attractive about ChatGPT, because it writes beautifully.
So it may sound beautifully, but the information it gives may be false or we use are misleading.
Yeah, we call it hallucination.
I see.
So sometimes it's known as approximation in grammatical text.
Right. So just now we talked about medicine, and how about in the field of law, where you are the specialist? I mean, you guys have a lot of cases to refer to, a lot of references to look at that your paralegals or do your background work. Can you rely on a ChatGPT to do the search for you?
I try it, but I must say that I cannot rely on it. One, because it only it counts on the data set that it has. Two, some of the information might have been misfed. Some of the information might be incorrect or might be imagined. So I don't find it very helpful.
Right. So what areas do you think is going to be the most effective? I mean, say for medicine, just now you said it's only 40% it scores, and for law it may not be 100%, depending on the data that was input before. So what area do you think we can use this with more confidence?
Well, perhaps with scientific development that you don't need to go through certain researchers. But one finding recently made by Elon Musk, the founder of OpenAI that powered the ChatGPT, one of the concluding observations that he had was that there were profound risks of all kind of risks to society and humanity. It's the powerful digital mind may be getting out of control, even dangerous.
Right.
So not even to the extent that not even the creators could understand or control it.
Right. I was also looking at a survey by the Stanford University. More than 1/3 of the researchers believe AI could lead to what we call nuclear level catastrophe.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yes. This is one of the observations made by many.
So you agree?
I agree. I agree. This is something that we should be very careful about, and we should be fully alert of this danger.
The title of the show tonight is relying on artificial intelligence or ChatGPT a double-edged sword. Do you say that it's double-edged, or we shouldn't use it at all, since you're worried?
Double-edged, yes, probably, because of the special characteristics or features of this technology. One, for example, it has to identify, certain information first, and then apply this information to the new data, which is required for a decision making. So the incorrect information or biased information or discriminatory information may we say, perpetuate on an extensive scale, which may permeate, within the data set, and in turn, the AI, the artificial intelligence systems. So that is very risky, because we don't know much about this operation, the algorithm, the working of the algorithm, and also is about the probabilities. So the probabilistic nature of AI may be very risky indeed.
Right, Stephen, let's take a break now, but do stay with us. We will be right back. Welcome back. We have been talking with Mr. Stephen Wong about ChatGPT and AI and its wide range of applications. So, Stephen, I think the viewers after our first part of the show will start to realize this ChatGPT, although it sounded very, as you said, amazing in terms of application that can help many people in different areas, that actually it has a lot of concerns that you have brought up. So maybe we can reiterate or re-emphasize the area that we have to be careful of. What areas that we have to be careful? Like, for example, from your law work, you said is not very accurate. So maybe you can share with the viewers more.
Yeah, apart from being inaccurate, it may be discriminatory, there may be bias, and there are so many uncertainties about the operation of the algorithms involved. And there might be information misfed, and also the information might decay over a period of time. For example, after COVID-19, so the information is still there. So you might have a wrong or incorrect result if you conduct certain research on the related topics. And there are other risks like security risks, data security risks, about personal data protection, because the way that after collection, how it is going to be used, even by the machine, is not clear. It's not transparent enough to the consumers, to the personal data owner, and also mankind, civilization, okay, being human. This sort of thing may not be existing in the algorithms working in the AI system. So these are the fears, the risks that we should be concerned about.
Right. Stephen, if you look at the past in the world, we have the invention of machines and computers that has changed our life dramatically. And now with AI, whereby, of course, we have to be very careful. A lot of people are using it. And some people may say, all right, since this ChatGPT is so powerful, maybe we can start employing fewer staff, because you can just ask this question and they give you a very quick answer within seconds. So what are your thoughts on that? I mean, this is going to, as I said earlier, revolutionize the whole world altogether.
Yes.
So are we heading in the right direction?
Well, that is one of the major concerns expressed by dignitaries, including Elon Musk. Should we automate away all the jobs? That is what he meant. So can we lose all the jobs, human jobs done by human beings, because we have the automation now, because we have the machine helping us? This is one issue that he talks about very much. And another issue is, I think, shall we let the machine take over our intellectual work, for example, composing a song, writing an essay? And should we let the machine flood our information channels, which might be full of fake news, misinformation, or bias news? So, and then the other thing is, should we eventually, should we allow the non-human brain or minds, okay, taking over, controlling our work and our lifestyle? Eventually, that it may outnumber or outsmart or replace human efforts.
Right, Stephen. So you have brought up many areas that one has to be concerned, but I'm sure, like all things, people will still use this ChatGPT for their work.
Indeed.
And yeah, I mean, I think you have made it very clear that we have to be very, very careful.
We've got to live with it.
Yes. So is there anything we can mitigate the risk?
Indeed. You know, in Europe, several countries, started by Italy, has banned, the application of ChatGPT until, the data used to train, the machine complies with the regulations, notably, the personal data protection regulation, the GDPR. Why it is about personal data? Because within the set of data on which AI works and GPT works, there must be human experience, human data. Human data must include personal data. So the whole collection, whole bunch of personal data protection principles will come in.
So Stephen, I mean, you have been a privacy commissioner. In Hong Kong, we have a lot of regulations. So should this new area of artificial intelligence, or specifically ChatGPT, should this be regulated? Because since you mentioned there are a lot of ethical aspects of this AI and ChatGPT. So
certainly, the authorities are working very hard, to try to contain the problem by introducing new legislation or regulations. But as you would agree, laws would always be lagging behind, innovation or technology development. So at the same time, the authorities, the data protection authorities, are working on, as we did a few years ago, on standards other than legal standards, known as ethical standards. The core principle of ethical standards include being fair, being transparent, and being accountable, to all the stakeholders. And it is often said that data protection must be integrated or baked in, the data protection legal or ethical frameworks.
Right, Stephen, I also read that Italy has already temporarily banned ChatGPT, and the UK has published some regulations or recommendations a few weeks ago. So how can we borrow, or should we set up our own systems in Hong Kong in that matter?
We made recommendations on the use of AI already. The Privacy Commissioner has already published some guidelines. This is in line with those guidelines around the world, including those in the mainland of China. So we are working on the ethical standards, promoting the compliance with ethical standards. Ethical standards simply means whether we should do something that we think it is right and we ought to do.
Right, Stephen, will you be also concerned that there are people who are with malicious intent, feed intended wrong information into the system, and really create a lot of chaos in our system?
There are examples like this. For example, writing, malwares, phishing emails, fake information.
So it's already happening.
Yes. For example, political manipulation. Okay, if you ask the ChatGPT, to say something about the president of a certain country, you may come up, with a story about one president, something nice about him, but something bad about another. So this is what happened, in the world.
Right. Another area that one must not overlook is unequal access to technology.
Yes.
Because they are obviously the lower income groups, or even those in the rural areas, they may not have access to this sort of advanced information, and it will put them in a very disadvantaged position with those who has. So are you concerned also in terms of this equality as well?
Yes, this is one of the core principles of the ethical standards. Equality, being transparent, being easily understood, by the users and the creators, of, for example, the software, the program, the application. There should be no bias, no discrimination on the basis of their economic conditions, wealth, status, and so on. So this is the basic principle, as data protection is one of the fundamental human rights.
Right. Stephen, last month, Elon Musk, the one you just mentioned, Apple co-founder Steve Wozniak and other AI experts were amongst 1,300 people who have written an open letter calling for a 6-month pause on the developing AI system beyond the level of ChatGPT 4, which is We are right
Absolutely,
there.
yeah.
We're saying that we are confident that until that effect will be positive and the risk will be manageable. So the letter now has more than 13,000 signatures. Would you sign it?
Yes, I will certainly sign it, because the risks are real. They're real risks, and that we have to address it. We have to mitigate those risks, before we can really enjoy, a smarter, a happier lifestyle.
Right. Do you think people in the world, maybe from Hong Kong, do you think they are unaware of this altogether?
Yes, I think, privacy protection in Hong Kong is a slow start, I would say. Mm-hmm. So they will be interested to read news about that, and they will be interested in thinking more about that. But to take certain actions, including a campaign, I have doubts about it. But this is something that the regulator and also the business enterprises should work on.
Right, Stephen, before I meet you today, I do try to use the ChatGPT app function myself, and try to get the script out between us. And it's immensely convenient. It's very fast. But then after listening to you, one has to be very careful, because if you base on some biased information that you're not aware of, and then you make a decision, the consequences could be disastrous. So maybe you can tell the viewers what are the areas that one must not use ChatGPT, or what are the areas that we can use?
I think for expressions about your own human feelings, about your personal experience, I think that you should avoid using the ChatGPT. But for general information collection, research purposes, perhaps it could be a starting point, for you to have some points. But you can't rely on this application to pass the exams or to win a trial.
But do you think in time, when more regulations are being laid down, more information, more transparent, do you think all the risks will be mitigated and we can really use it? Do you see that they happen?
It depends, because we don't really understand, and the scientists agree and accept that there might be no way to understand how the machine works, the algorithm works, right, how the machine learns from the experience of human beings.
So you would say at this stage you will be very cautious?
Until we have convinced the majority stakeholders about the risks, and also the mitigating work that we should put our shoulders into it. So I think before that, as it is the intention of the 6 months pause.
Right, okay. So thank you, Stephen, for opening up this new world of AI and ChatGPT to us. They are clearly powerful tools with immense potential, but need to be approached carefully and responsibly to avoid unintended consequences. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.